last night, Naylor did it again. Josh Naylor hit a solo home run in the ninth. He now has 3 home runs that won games in the ninth inning or later. That leads the major leagues.
It's fun to watch that happen in Boston, too, wasn't
it? Really was fun. And I mean, he hit
shots
it
of the fans.
over the Green Monster and out of Fenway Park.
Yep.
He absolutely clobbered it.
Sad Boston
I love
nights.
this guy. I've loved him all year. And then Clase, who I didn't love earlier in the year, but Bull kept telling me, I was telling you Naylor's the real deal, and you kept telling me Clase's the real deal. Last night,
we
both
got
were
it
the real
right.
deal.
Yeah.
And I have totally changed my thinking on Clase.
One of the most reliable closers in the game right now.
I'm going to say he's the best right now.
Yeah.
He is the best closer in the game right now.
Hader.
I don't know. I'm taking this guy because when he changes speeds with the slider he threw to a couple hitters last night. It's unhittable.
Nasty.
It's almost like Mariano's cutter.
I mean, he looks so good right now. And I'll tell you, De Los Santos has pitched really well for them.
He's done
very,
a nice
job.
Nice.
The bullpen was great because Quantrill stunk yesterday.
He didn't pitch well, no. But
they
you know
kept
what?
blowing the lead.
They did, but they stayed in it. They didn't give up. They got the big hit in the. I think they tied it in the seventh.
Miles Straw in the
Miles Straw. And by the way, the catch that
Miles Straw.
The catch that Straw made to end the game.
Great play.
When that was hit, I thought that's a ground rule double.
Yes.
You see this rapid-fire baseball?
I know.
Yes,
Miles Straw, I'll give Miles Straw credit because I've been hard on him the last couple of weeks. He's finally come out from
the last
from the dead.
like 3 weeks. His average
He was in a coma for 3.5 months.
Hitting the ball. So here's the bottom line.
Here's
the bottom line. They're 50 and 47.
Yeah.
They're a game and a half behind the Twins for first place.
Right.
And the trade deadline is 3 days away.
Tell me who they getting. Tell me who they
Bull
getting.
is the general manager of the Cleveland Guardians.
Thank you. Tell me.
Who are you calling? What deal are you making to make this team better?
My 2 favorite teams are a perfect match here.
I know. You've been saying this all year.
But I'm going to expand the trade. I'm going to make a blockbuster trade with the Cubs, and here's what I'm doing. All right, I'm giving them. I got to give the Cubs 4 or 5 prospects in the deal. Two guys in your top 10. You got to give up something.
Can you give us an example on that? Who would that be? Like, what are you willing to give?
I don't care.
I don't think you do because Contreras is a real.
Well, but I'm not just trading you Contreras. Here's what I'm trading you.
You want something
I'm
else.
trading you Wilson Contreras to play catcher. Now he's a rental.
Yeah.
I'm getting Ian Happ. Ian Happ was an all-star this year. He's an excellent hitter. He gets on base.
Are they shopping him?
They are.
Wow, that's surprising to me.
He's got, I think, 2 years left.
That's why I'm surprised they're shopping him.
Okay? Ian Happ's the second best outfielder available. Well, Brian Reynolds is better than Happ, but Brian Reynolds I don't think is being traded. But Happ, outside of Soto, is the best outfielder available.
Yeah.
He can play any position in the outfield, and he can play the infield if you needed him to.
Right.
He's got a great bat, and he's having his best year.
Sure.
And you'd have him under control. And in that deal, I'm getting 4 players from the Cubs. I'm filling every need with this one trade. I'm getting Contreras to catch. I'm getting Ian Happ to play the outfield. I'm getting Wade Miley, a veteran starting pitcher. He's only made 4 starts this year because he's been hurt, but he's on a rehab assignment. He's pitched well in those 4 starts. He was excellent last year for Cincinnati, and he's pitched well, like I said, this year. He's a good veteran back of the rotation starter.
How much time does he have on his deal?
It's a 1-year deal. That's it.
So
that's
he's
a rental.
Super rental too.
And then David Robertson, who's a rental also. Now,
wow. And how old is Robertson now?
He's a veteran relief pitcher. He's been the Cubs closer. He'll be a good reliever.
Right.
You add to all 4 things you need: a catcher, an outfielder, a starting pitcher, and a relief pitcher.
Yeah.
You give up. Ian Happ's worth a lot. The other guys, and Contreras is worth a decent amount, even though he's a rental.
I'm curious to see
the
what
other
you're
2 guys
giving
you're not giving up much for. I'm saying you give one of your top 5 prospects, one of the infielders, which they have a glut of. Then you give away you give another player that's in your 6 to 10, and then 2 other wild card prospects that are not huge.
See, I can't put my mind around that because
it's so big it probably will never happen.
No, that will never happen.
But that would be huge. Not to mention, those guys all have playoff experience.
No, they do, and they all make sense. But what I can't weigh that trade. Yeah. Because you haven't given me specific players. You say one of these guys and one of those guys.
Okay, so let's say
plug in some names.
Let's say we're trading Gabriel Arias. We're trading
hard to
like
give
Freeman's off limits.
Yeah, not Freeman.
You're not touching Freeman.
Not Espino.
Espino's off limits. Valera. All those guys are off my. They're not being moved.
You got to get one. You give up one guy from that group. That's Arias.
Okay.
All right. Then you give up maybe what's his name, the catcher, either Naylor or Lavastida. I can't remember how to pronounce his name.
Yeah. Okay.
Listen, those guys are not huge prospects. They're decent prospects, not huge. And then the other 2 guys are just, wild cards for the Cubs.
Yeah,
lower level
Rosario
prospects.
will likely be moved in my view.
Hey, listen, if you want to give up Rosario, I'm sure the Cubs would be happy to have him.
Jimenez is off limits.
Yeah, no. I'm not asking for you. I'm saying the Cubs got to get one of your top prospects.
Yeah.
I'm saying Arias, but one of them.
Okay.
And then you give one top prospect, one good prospect, and 2 wild card prospects.
So here's what I would say to that.
And you have filled every hole you have.
Here's why I would say no to that deal.
Yeah.
Two of those players, at least 2 of those players, are extreme rentals. They're under control.
Well,
through
3
this
of them
year.
are rent. They're all rentals except for
the reason
half.
I don't like that is because, and we talked about this a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
Before teams make big trades like this that will change the trajectory of their franchise, they always look at what's going on outside of not just their division, but in their league. And I don't see how those moves makes them better than the Yankees.
It doesn't. Well, but
so I don't want to give up long-term young prospects.
Well, here's the thing, okay, is you're only giving up one prospect you think is on the top of the pile. And that's it. You're getting 4 players, including one, Ian Happ, who would be your best outfielder, and you've got him for 2 years. And if you feel like you're not going to compete next year, you could always spin him off at the end of the season.
Yeah, you could.
Okay? Contreras, I mean, think about the upgrade offensively from what you've got to Contreras.
That trade is happening. Not the pieces you moved.
Yeah.
I believe that on August 1st, Contreras is a Cleveland Guardian.
I hope so.
Are you hearing that, or are you just
no?
Like
I'm just
it
looking.
Just makes sense.
I'm looking at their lineup, and they're clearly they have to be a buyer because they're a game and a half out of first place. You can't just start selling pieces off.
But Contreras, even though he's a rental, is going to cost a decent amount because there's a lot of teams that need catchers, and he's an elite hitter for a catcher. Elite.
You're right, he is. But again, I just think if you're the Guardians and you're looking at the way your roster looks today, you have that is the glaring hole on your roster. I mean, it's flashing red.
Yes.
You have to upgrade that position.
But you think about it. You're right. Listen, nothing the Guardians are going to do is going to make them a better roster than the Yankees. Nothing. There's nothing they could do that would make them a better roster.
No, but
even if they got Juan Soto, they wouldn't have a better roster than the Yankees.
It has to put them in a position where they could look at that, where the front office could look at that and say, no, they're not better. But we know in baseball the best team doesn't always win. But they have to be able to look at their roster and say, you know what? I'd take Cleveland in a 7-game series against the Yankees.
I think you have to capitalize when you got a chance to capitalize. Could you foresee a young team taking a step back next year? See, it's not guaranteed the Guardians are going to come out next year and be as good as they are this year.
Oh, absolutely not.
If they come back and take a step back next year, you done lost all the momentum. Now people are like, well, why didn't you make a move when you were a game and a half out? And you see what happens. Roll the dice.
I'm not saying I'm not for making a move. You got to do something.
Right.
But I just think that there are certain guys in the organization, and it's probably going to be guys that the Cubs would want for that haul, that I wouldn't be willing to part ways with yet.
Jay, they have a glut of middle infielders.
They do.
You can't keep them all.
And Jason has been saying all year, they basically used the first 90 games to figure out which of these kids they're going to spin off.
Yes. And by the way, like yesterday, the Yankees trade last night. I don't know if you guys saw this. The Yankees traded for Andrew Benintendi.
I did see that.
So they've gotten even better.
That's a great move.
By the way, they give up 2 of their top 10 prospects, and he's a free agent at the end of the year. I know it's the Yankees, but in the American League, the Yankees and Astros are the only teams that are really good. If the Guardians made a blockbuster move like that, they would close the gap. And as you know as well as anybody, in a 7-game series, if you pitch well enough, you got a shot. And
do you think our pitching is good enough right now to beat the Yankees in a 7-game series? Because I don't.
Probably not.
And the
Probably
trade
not.
And the trade that you mentioned
doesn't get their rotation.
Does not strengthen our rotation.
I mean, it does a little, but not enough.
The back end of our rotation, and as you know, in a 7-game series, you're going to see 3 arms.
Question for the baseball grown-ups. Is this the nightmare scenario for the Dolans, being just on the edge of possibly being a couple game and a half back? Would they rather be 6 games back or 7 games back so that they didn't have to deal with these questions, or be be right up there and maybe be in the lead?
It shouldn't be. It might be because of who they are.
Yeah,
it
you're
should
right.
not be.
Yeah, no, they should be doing cartwheels.
This division
right now.
stinks. Okay,
it's bad.
They can win this
And
division.
now the pressure's on the ownership to spend money, which they don't want. They clearly don't want to do, and don't think they're ready to do.
This trade that I'm bringing up would cost them one elite prospect. It wouldn't cost them a ton of money. None of those Cubs players are making big money.
Yeah, and I
Even
like
Contreras.
all of the pieces that you mentioned. I like. I would like to at least look at the list that they're going to talk about giving up.
Yeah.
But this is a good problem to have, too. Andre Knott said last night during the telecast, and I thought this was dead on, he's hearing more and more from around baseball, don't trade with the Guardians.
Yeah.
Of course.
Because we've taken everybody's lunch money.
Yep.
If you look at the trades that this franchise has made, Miles Straw, I still think the jury's out on that. But when you look at what they got Clase for Corey Kluber, who made one start for the Texas Rangers.
Right.
Yeah.
And now he's mediocre in Tampa.
Well, he's not.
at
He was in
best.
Texas he was a rental.
Right.
And then he immediately moved on. But when you consider that they got the best closer in the game right now, or one of.
Do you really believe that, though? The GMs are like scared
No.
to trade. They're all
No, I don't believe
arrogant
that at
There
all.
GMs too, and they think they can do
I'll
better
tell you
than
this.
anybody.
I've heard GMs have said this before. There are certain teams that I just inherently don't want to deal with.
Right.
Because I almost, not that no one's going to say they know something that I don't.
They're smarter
but
than those.
Tampa now has a track record
doubt.
of taking people's lunch.
Right.
And the Guardians, when you look at some of the trades they've made in the last 5 years, I scratch my head and say,
Yeah.
how are they taking great prospects, giving up nothing? I know that the Frankie Lindor thing, a lot of people still wanted us to sign Frankie. We have the better player in that deal right now. He makes less than $1 million, and Frankie makes $40 million.
That's just one piece of the puzzle, though. You could take somebody's lunch, but then you got to
You
eventually
got to win. You got to try to win.
You got
Sure.
You got to try to win now.
But G. Bush, you can't win if you're not taking people's lunch.
No, yes, that's true.
That's
but
correct.
the reality is, like other prospects that so many fans were afraid to trade, right? Nobody wanted to trade Clint Frazier. What's he done? He's still in the minors.
No, I know. You're right. And
Pomeranz.
and a
By
lot
the way,
of fans,
not
Pomeranz
only is he in
is
the
another one.
minors, he's in the minors for the Cubs, who aren't even good.
I know.
These unicorns.
Bradley Zimmer, nothing. All these guys.
I'll
have
end up by
nothing.
saying this, and I can't believe I'm going to say this, but it's true. The Guardians right now have a really, it's a bad problem. I mean, they have too many prospects.
Yeah.
Their minor league system right now is one of the best in baseball. They've got so many good kids that now they have to decide which ones of these we're going to keep and we're going to hit, and which ones are we ready to move on.
And I think if you're trying to win, nobody should be untouchable. If I had to pick one guy currently in the minors I wouldn't trade, it would be Daniel Espino. He'd be the one guy I wouldn't trade.
And he hasn't pitched much this year because he's
no,
had
but
an injury.
I love his
I don't
prospects.
know who said
do
this.
too.
I don't know. Some coach said this, but they said the word potential will get you fired.
That's right.
Yeah, well, yeah.
As
if you don't-
Casey Stern, formerly of MLB Network, quoted, this is the best quote, prospects are cool, parades are cooler.
Yeah, but you're absolutely right about that. I think we all agree they better do something.
Yes,
they've got
can't
3
stand
days.
pat. Tuesday at 6
Especially
p.m.
yesterday. I saw the Benintendi news yesterday, and I'm like, are you kidding me?
Yep.
In fact, that's if we do final takes, that's what my final take is. But
By the way, I think the Yankees will now trade Joey Gallo. I wonder if the Guardians will be interested.
No one is interested in Joey Gallo. Trust me, he's an
yeah,
absolute
you know why?
bum.
You know why? Did you guys see the Joey Gallo video, the gender reveal video?
No.
I did. I'll find it. I'll pull it up. You want to hear?
I won't even tell you what it is. Find the video,
I will.
and this
By
is
the
why
way-
no one's interested in
Do
Joey.
you want to know a better stat than that though? What? Aaron Judge has 38 home runs this year. Joey Gallo has 37 hits.
By the way,
Oh my God.
Joey Gallo is going to go somewhere else and play well, so somebody will be smart to trade for him. There's some guys that can't play in New York. He's one of those guys. He was excellent in Texas. He has his flaws as a player. He'll play somewhere else. Yankee fans are spoiled and arrogant.
Yeah, I wouldn't be-
and don't pay any attention to their when players play in other places.
I wouldn't be beating his.
Yankees are
the
not
door down for Joey
infallible. They're
Gallo.
going down in the playoffs. They're not winning the World Series.
Okay, are we going to do? Where do you want to go from here? Right to final.